Hey everybody, this is Brett Leary from Digitas. Thank you 4As for bearing with me as I solve these technical difficulties. This is my first YouTube live streaming experience and it's been challenging to say the least. But unfortunately we couldn't be together in Digitas's Connected Commerce Showcase where for the past 6, 7, 8 years, I think, John, we've hosted the 4As team and done a lot of live demos. But what I thought we could do is take an element from that in-person show and focus on some very relevant technologies, in particular augmented reality, 5G, artificial intelligence, and talk about it through the lens of the third space. So I mentioned who I am. I help lead commerce and technology at Digitas. My first question to you guys is, did anybody catch something odd on the first slide? How about that date? In 2012, a Chinese grocer by the name of Yihaodian was the first company to, or at least I believe it was the first company to actually produce a virtual store and put it into a location. And this is a great example of how these emerging technologies, in particular augmented reality, can be used to create a unique shopping experience. And I want to show you in this video what that looks like. So it might be hard to hear the audio here, but you can see that the users walked inside of that store. They're able to tap the product they want, and then it's delivered to their house, almost like a click and collect. So let's fast forward to present day, because I want to talk about some behaviors that relate to this type of shopping environment. How many of you guys do this? This young woman is taking a picture of this bathing suit with her smartphone. And I'm imagining a lot of you are shaking your heads yes, because a lot of people do this. There's a variety of different stats that suggest that people do take pictures of stuff they like or want, not only within a retail environment, but also at home, whether they're on the street, etc. My second question to you guys is, what do you do with that stuff? And I'm sure you're nodding your head up and down with the fact that most of you are sharing it with your friends via text messages, for example, because you'd like validation on a particular purchase, or you're uploading it for all to see, right? You're proud of what you bought, you want to share, you want to get people to comment on it and validate it. It's just human nature. As visual beings, we are surrounded in a visual world where there's triggers everywhere. And so the camera arguably is one of the most important utilities on our devices, because billions of that user-generated photos that I mentioned before are being uploaded every day to social media. And so if you start to think about what if in these picture moments, whether I'm in a restaurant or at a stadium or in a store, or now more than ever when we're all at home looking at packaging and products and receiving packages and products from delivery services, what if in those moments we could get some more information to help with the decision about making another purchase or get information related to the purchase we just made? And if you're a brand new retailer, what if you could actually influence those moments? So all of this kind of funnels down into this idea of the third space. And this is a concept that we believe will evolve as a new medium that bridges both the physical and digital worlds. And I'm going to play a little video. I want you to watch closely. That is an ad unit right there that we've placed in space in that aisle. Because the phone knows that we're in CVS, we're looking at the pain medication, and we're able to pull that information up. Now, this was a prototype that we developed for CVS, and we've shown it to a lot of different brands and retailers, and everybody shakes their heads like, yes, very interesting. Now, to bring this to life in the real world, we have some challenges to overcome, and we'll talk about that at the end. But this is what we mean by the third space. And to kind of help put some more context around that, if you think of the first space as static, analog marketing, product packaging, in-store displays. Second space, you guys are all familiar with this. It's the digital work that we all work with. Landing pages, emails, websites, etc. The third space sits in between. So it's a combination of overlaying the digital content that we have directly into the context of space that we're looking at. And this young woman here, we know that we're in the beauty aisle and it's showing a hologram, a video hologram of what that mud mask that she wants to buy, what that would actually look like on her. And all of this stuff is powered by a number of different technologies. Many of you in media might be aware of programmatic in terms of serving ads based on triggers. Some of you are probably aware of content management systems and where content is stored. And certainly you've heard about augmented reality technologies from Apple and Google. But your homework tonight is to look up the AR cloud. And this is technology that is essentially creating a digital twin or mapping, creating almost like a Google map of the real world that our machines, our phones can see to understand where they are in space. What are they looking at? Because what this technology enables us to do is anchor content to real world spaces and things. So this is a mini-me. I'm standing next to an out of home. I've placed myself inside of a Target store explaining a product. And then I've created a smaller version of myself explaining more about this particular brand of detergent. This is just one example. The important thing here is that we can start to create ephemeral content, meaning it could disappear after one use or view by a user. It could last for a month or a week or a year, or we could leave content indefinitely. Almost think of it like a TV channel for every space, right? We're always publishing new content into space. And when you think about all the different elements here for these third space moments, it's very ripe to spur action, right? We understand the context that you're shopping. We know what you're looking at, the intent, and the immediacy of putting buy buttons on top of these things or getting more information to help you make a decision. And when you think about engaging consumers in their experiences, it translates to stuff like this. So if we go back to our Chinese grocer, what I failed to mention is they actually launched 1,000 virtual stores overnight. You can't do that with physical structures, obviously. They actually dropped a store in Carrefour, their number one competitor's parking lot as well. There's no precedent for this. Now, granted, this was done as part of a marketing campaign, but it did lead to 17% lift in sales during a 3-month period. Arguably as part of the novelty, and granted, this was in 2012. So as this type of technology becomes more commonplace, and a lot of brands look, especially D2C challenger brands, look to come into physical world retailing to expand upon their scale, this might be a way to do it. We can also do things in terms of bringing the store to you as well. I can't play this video, unfortunately, but I want you to Google Toys R Us Snapchat Canada. And you'll be able to see a video in which an augmented reality portal pops up in the living room and you can walk inside of the store and browse around inside of a 360-degree video. Walgreens and many other companies have tried to experiment with putting content, digital content overlays as the user walks down an aisle to help them find the products they want. MasterCard, obviously their mission in life is to get you to use their card to make purchases, and so they've experimented with putting transactional capabilities next to products in virtual worlds. The NFL, in conjunction with Verizon and their 5G bandwidth, actually did something late last year during the football season in which those users with 5G enabled phones could actually hold that phone up to the 50-yard line of this live game and get live dynamic data in this form. What's interesting here is that you could start to put buy buttons over the quarterback's jersey here to be able to make purchases. So when you think about this, guys, this is about applying a new monetization layer on top of the world. And it's about taking advantage of virtual spaces, in this case, the airspace within a CVS or the 50-yard line of the NFL stadium, right, in terms of engaging consumers in the moment. So let's shift gears a little bit here and let's talk about how or why we think this might hit mainstream soon. I want you to meet a futurist, a brilliant woman by the name of Amy Webb. And as a futurist, she'll tell you that her job is not to predict the future, but rather see all the different scenarios of what a hypothetical future might look like so that we can better prepare our marketing or our product roadmaps, etc. And she's developed a forecasting methodology. It's fairly straightforward. At the top, she's been looking for signals that they see on the fringes. And at the bottom, they start to see more mature companies pressure testing some of these technologies, for example, to see if they will work with consumers like us. And I would argue that there were plenty of signals for the third space. In 2009, a Dutch company by the name of Layar launched the first augmented reality browser. Generated millions of downloads way before its time. Today, we're seeing patterns in computer vision, which is a form of artificial intelligence. Grocers, in this case, are starting to use the technology to do planogram compliance. They can also see stockouts. This used to be done manually. Now they're using the technology to reduce costs associated with the man hours. We're seeing advances in that augmented reality cloud stuff I talked about. Google, Facebook, and others are all buying up small emerging companies that are powering this type of stuff. And then, of course, and I'm sure there's some players listening to this webinar or live stream, that Pokemon Go and the global phenomena that it became was generating billions of dollars. And so that suggests that there is an appetite, if when done well, that people will adopt this. So now we're starting to see at the bottom of this funnel, who are the companies that are pressure testing across the commerce ecosystem? A good place to look is Google and Google Lens. I encourage you those folks that have the Google app on their phone, to tap that little camera button, hold it up to any product and see what happens. What's interesting here is you get the little augmented reality blue button that kind of tracks onto the product, but look at the bottom there. You've got a Walmart on the Android and an Enjoy December on the left. So what's interesting here is we're starting to see major retailers wanting to get out in front of this visual search consumer behavior that they believe is going to rapidly rise, because they want to be there in that moment. Amazon offers a augmented reality solution that enables you to see TVs on their walls before you make the purchase. Another good example is Shopify and their commerce, and this is very relevant to the electric bike company, that solution that you're working for today. So within mobile web, you can tap on a little button on the screen and see a full-size bike in your living room or your garage, right? This is called augmented assistance or augmented reality shopping. Pinterest certainly has this. Facebook has made advancements in this space. Many of you that are Snapchat users may know that if you snap a product, kind of hold your thumb on the screen over the top of a beauty product for this case, that it will recognize the product as best it can and return an Amazon purchase option for you. Just down below that, Samsung, one of the world's largest manufacturers of handsets, you can see again Walmart inserting itself into Bixby, which is their version of Siri. They have a computer vision solution as well. Another great example. In Walmart in particular, within the store, I can't get this video to work. They're also dealing with some third space technologies in which the shopper hovers over the barcodes and it will hold it in space as you pan left and right across the shelves, looking for products that meet your needs. Apple, big supporter of augmented reality technologies, recently announced that for their solution, they are adding a buy button that can be overlaid and attached to, like that Shopify example. And so in this case, the young woman has some Warby Parker glasses on her face virtually, and she's able to purchase those, right? It's a great example of how these technologies are compressing the purchase path. I mentioned a little bit about Facebook. They acquired a company out of the UK that's doing some AR cloud. There's some companies, this is an Israeli company that has made some big advances in holding the phone up to get user ratings and reviews at shelf. There's a local Boston company called Hoverlay that I've worked with to do some of the demos in CVS, and I'll play this video here. There's the hologram, a video hologram of the young woman with the mud mask. Or in this case, I'm in Lowe's, I'm shopping for a lawnmower, and I'm getting a video positioned or anchored to that particular lawnmower model. So these are just some examples of companies that are helping to power the potential of a third space. Oh, and I want to mention this stuff too, right? Many of you, local company, global company, already has augmented reality audio. And so if you put these glasses on and you're walking in a particular location, and if there's audio that's been placed in a location, you'll hear that automatically in your ears. Very different way to think about the third space with just audio content. And then lastly, you can't get away from the TV commercials. Verizon, AT&T, etc. are all promising a brand new world with increased bandwidth through the use of 5G. And this is very critical to the foundation of a great experience in the third space because it takes away any latency, it speeds up the delivery of the content, and that will deliver a great experience that people will want to have and will lead to the behavior of taking your phone out automatically because you know you get instant content when you hold your camera up. So have I done a good job of convincing you yet that this is coming soon? Some of the analysts think that this will be a big deal. Now, this quote in particular from Gartner relates more to the Shopify example that I showed you because more e-commerce companies are using that feature to help you buy more durable goods like bikes. Not necessarily the third screen example you saw in CVS, but this is a good sign. But I want you to pause a second, because before we get to the third space in terms of being turned on or available instantly, like we know that the digital world and programmatic and media buying and publishing, how all these things work, we have some challenges to overcome. We need to figure out what a universal browser will be. We need to figure out how we're going to make shoppers or just consumers in general just aware that there's digital content around them. We need to think about the legality or the governance of this. So there is no precedent for an Advil to drop an ad in a virtual airspace within a CVS store, right? We need to think about the implications of that. The good news is that there are a number of people within the industry, both developers and businesses, that are coming together as a consortium to solve for these problems in the OpenAR Cloud Consortium. And so I will say that I encourage you not to be cautious, but to proceed with optimism, because there are things that brands and retailers can do to prepare. Our collective mission, guys, is to figure out how we can accelerate this behavior of using your phone's camera to get information about products, places, and things. We want to create a behavior. And so there are some things you can start to do today. I encourage all of you to go to your social media departments, ask to look through some of the photos that they're collecting, right? See if patterns are emerging in terms of what are people taking pictures of, what are those third space moments. It goes the same if your client is a retailer or a bike shop, right? Where are those moments that somebody would take out their phone to get more information? Kind of a fun fact, a lot of surveys will point that people use their phones within retail environments because they do not want to talk to a sales associate. And so this gives rise to the opportunity that we can help somebody get information quickly without talking to an associate if they don't want to. You can also start to review the clarity of your packages, so the computer vision stuff that I showed you from Google, for example, can instantly recognize it. You can talk to your SEO teams to make sure that those computer vision backends, if you will, the AI can actually see the products that you have, and what they'll do, like Google, for example, will look at the image alt tags, right, in the code, and your SEO teams, they know this, right? But these are things that they can do today. Some of you may have worked on augmented reality activations over the years. This technology's been around for a while, but it needs to recognize the logo here. It's a little bit different than anchoring content in specific locations, but you can start to build upon this stuff in the third space. For example, I encourage all of you to think about how can we reach out to the ecosystem players that I've mentioned. Uncle Ben's Rice, first consumer packaged goods company to actually inject itself into the Google Lens experience, whereas instead of the almond milk example I showed you earlier, in which it's bringing you to purchase at a Walmart, Uncle Ben's is actually showing you recipes, and they partnered with a third-party nutritional company and Google. And I actually talked to the Google Lens folks the other day, and they said they have openings for beauty products and other products that a Google Lens experience might be relevant for. So in closing, you better defend your space now, because what will happen is that your spaces will be monetized without you, per the example that we've used. Or if you are a product company, your product brand and messaging could be interrupted by someone else. All of you are probably familiar with the term conquest ads. This becomes very relevant. And I would encourage you guys to, again, another Google search for you is Google Burger King augmented reality campaign. And you'll see what they did with their competitors' ads. That concludes the talk. If you have any questions, send me an email, give me a call. Happy to chat. The last thing I encourage you to do, and you can probably pause the stream, read the instructions here, but pull your phone out, iOS or Android, doesn't matter. Scan the code, make sure your phone's not muted, tap the link, download the Hoverlay app, say yes to all the prompts. The demo's going to auto load, but be sure at the desk that you're working at or the table that you're at is clear, and kind of hold the phone up to the middle of the table and you'll get an experience. I appreciate it, guys. Stay safe. Thank you.